Okay, we are here today to talk about Gene Colan, perhaps one of my favorite Silver Age and Bronze Age Marvel artists. I love his stuff. In my opinion, probably one of the more underrated artists of the Silver Age era. When you had to deal with the greatness of Jack Kirby, John Romita, and John Buscema. It's a tough group to compete with. But for those that's not familiar with Gene Colan, he drew comic books and got in the business well before the existence of Marvel. So he's been there, done that. With Jack Kirby. You know, so he is great. But let's talk about him. I believe Gene Colan is one of those guys that found his style early on, and surely he improved just like any good artist uh, can do. But his style was very obvious and very distinctive from the very beginning. He did not try to copy Kirby or Buscema or any of those guys that work at Marvel. I'm sure when he first joined Marvel, there is a strong influence to trying to nudge him to draw things the Marvel way. But he did his own thing, and I'm so happy that they didn't try to change him. But if there is any artist that I connect with Daredevil, or I believe is the quintessential artist for Daredevil, it would be Gene Colan. I would pick him over Frank Miller any day of the week. I like Frank Miller, but I prefer Gene Colan over Frank Miller's style any day. Not to say that Frank Miller is not good, but to me, whenever I think of Daredevil, I think of the great run that Gene had from issue 20 to 80. Daredevil, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated title. I love Daredevil. The first time I read about Daredevil in one of those reprint book, I just like the fact of his origin. I like the way he is. It's always fun. It's more fun for me to deal with superheroes that really didn't have any superpower. I think that's why I'm drawn to Batman from the very start, and the same thing with Daredevil. He doesn't have any extra power. But anyhow, let's talk about Daredevil. Unfortunately, I don't have many high-grade Daredevil books, and the majority of my Daredevil books came from the same Silver Age collection that I bought years ago. If you watch any of my previous video, I mentioned about the bunch of Silver Age books that I bought from a collector that wrote the date on all of his books. And as you can see, many of these books have the pencil written date on them on the top left corner. Gene Colan took over Daredevil issue 20, and believe it or not, this book, well, not believe it or not, but this book came out in November 1966, so it's one of those issues that came out on the month of my birth. So I like to keep that, even though it's not great for condition. But the very earliest Daredevil book I have is number 22. It's in many ways I'm kind of glad that these are low grade condition. It's great for reading. I have no problem pulling them out and look through them. And as you can see here, Gene art is great. And one thing about Gene Colan, he's one of those artists that I believe is very difficult to ink because he used a lot of gray line, a lot of shade. So when you have somebody like Dick Ayers, or I'm not sure how to pronounce this inker, but he's typical. He's very popular in the Silver Age Marvel to do a lot of work. No doubt, I think the total visual drawing style of Gene Colan is slightly diminished when you have someone that doesn't mesh well with his drawing style. But nonetheless, you can see how good the arts were. I absolutely love the way Gene Colan draw the movement of Daredevil. There's something to, I really like how he does it, because I have many of the issue with Frank Miller, and I don't think Frank Miller is all that great in drawing that kind of fluid movement with Daredevil as Gene Colan can do. And so, it's very typical of Gene Colan penciling to see that kind of penciling. And when you don't have an inker that know how to handle it properly, I think it's make the art doesn't look as good as it should. But so here's issue 22. As you can see, his stuff was pretty good from the very start. He just had to team up with the right artist, the right inker. His issue 24, once again, is inked by Frank. But as you can see right here, great action page. Look at that. Gene Colan distinctive style is in the clothing. I can look at any picture and figure out if it's Gene Colan or not, because when he draw even like pants or shirt or collar, he add a lot of details to clothing, more so than any artist that I know. But if you look through this book, the action page are great. And his clothing, like I said, he adds a lot of details, a lot of wrinkles, a lot of fold, a lot of line to his clothing, much like Joe Kubert. It's very similar to Joe Kubert's style. You're not going to see Jack Kirby does a lot of that. So if you have not got a chance to read early Devils, but if you're a fan of Gene Colan, I highly recommend finding a reprint of these books, because I think they are a fantastic reads. And when you're talking about Daredevil, this is one of my favorite. This collection of Daredevil didn't have that many high grade books, but there was one that was nice enough that I submit long ago. I got a 9.2. Dr. Doom, beautiful cover. One of my favorite for sure, as far as a Daredevil Silver Age cover. Really nice. But my favorite will have to be this one. This is a beat up copy with a nasty tape pull right there and stain, but I love it. This is my favorite of all time Daredevil Silver Age cover. Beautiful. And what's great about this book, is I think the inking is really good. Also, Sid Shores did ink quite a number of books with Gene Colan, and I think Sid Shore is definitely a very good fit, because as you can see, there's something about Sid Shore and the inking with Gene Colan. It fits well, and you can see, very typical of Gene. He draw colors, clothing with a lot of beautiful details. A lot of it. There's nothing boring about Gene Colan when he draw a coat. Okay, it's just gorgeous. But this book is just, like I said, as usual, Gene is about as good as any artist when it comes down to dynamic action. Remind me a lot of Neil Adams as far as fluid body motion. Just beautiful, great stuff. Perhaps the one of the nicer copy I still have raw from this collection is this issue right here, as you can see. Beautiful. I'm glad I still have it in raw so I can flip through it and enjoy it. As again, you have Sid Shaw doing the inking. This is a beautiful splash page. Anyhow, let's see. Beside Daredevil, Gene also did